Hi, I'm Dr. Ritamarie. Welcome to my kitchen, my favorite room in the house. So I'm going to share with you today just this one recipe, which is one of my favorites. I've done this in a number of classes and people are just swooning over it. I've made this recipe and then put it in an ice cream maker and made it into a dessert, and it's actually absolutely divine. So what do we need for this recipe? The recipe it's for tropical green smoothie. And the ingredients that we're going to use are pineapple, mango, greens. Okay, that's it. And then I'll show you a couple of variations that you can do to spice it up a little bit, make it a little bit different. I'm going to start with maybe a third of the pineapple. And I've done as much as a half of the pineapple and filled up the entire Vitamix. But we're going to make a smaller version so that if you have just an average blender that has the 32-ounce carafe, it's not going to overflow your blender. I really love my Vitamix. It's a wonderful machine. It makes the job of blending and making green smoothies incredibly fast, incredibly easy. But there are other blenders that you can use, and this is just the one that I prefer. Okay, so here's my piece of pineapple. Pineapple's a great food because it's loaded with vitamin C, it's got a lot of enzymes in it, it's got a lot of bromelain, which helps you to digest your foods. It's really a nice food. Pineapple is one of my favorite foods, and mango is one of my favorite foods. So when you put them together in this smoothie, it's divine. If I can get access to papaya, I'll put papaya in this as well. Getting good papaya here in the mainland of the United States is not always easy to do, and it's not available most of the year. When you go to Hawaii, you get papaya all the time, and it's divine. But if you get a good papaya, add that to the recipe as well. Okay, so I'm just going to chop this up. Now with the Vitamix, I really don't have to chop this into these tiny pieces because it will take care of a piece this big, but just to show you how you would do it if you have just your average kitchen blender. Okay, oops. I'm a little bit sloppy in the kitchen here, so things will go flying, but the end result will be wonderful. See how easy that was to take everybody wonders about how to get the mango out of the flesh. I just use my fingers, slide it underneath the flesh, and put it in there. Now, my favorite way to make smoothies is to put my juicy fruits in first and then blend them up and make the liquid base. I prefer not to add water unless I have to, and I never add juice to it unless it's a green juice. And speaking of green juice, that reminds me of why would you want to be using green smoothies versus green juices? Well, there's a lot of reasons, and not to say there's anything wrong with green juices. I absolutely love green juices, but one of my biggest things with making green juices is the time that it takes to actually make them and then clean up from them. This is a lot quicker and a lot more easy. The second thing is that when you make the juice, you remove the fiber. And when you remove the fiber, then it doesn't give your intestines kind of that broom-like effect to push toxins through your system, to absorb the toxins that you release when you're eating a high level of green in your diet. So I tend to prefer to do them this way as a smoothie. And I've been doing this for a really long time. I first got turned on to doing green smoothies back 20-some years ago when I first got into raw foods, and I read some of Ann Wigmore's stuff. And I read about her energy soups, and I made those. Now, Ann Wigmore was wonderful, and she really was a pioneer in this field, but her green soup recipes were not the most delicious things in the world, but I drank them anyway. And over the years, as I experimented and played with them, I learned how to make them really delicious. And so we're going to turn the blender on, and you'll see that these chunks of fruit actually turn into liquid. And this will happen whether you have a Vitamix or whether you have just your standard kitchen machine. So I'm going to turn it on. So we've basically made liquefied pineapple and mango. Yummy. So my favorite way to make this recipe is with spinach. And I like to use the pre-washed spinach. Why? Because it's quick and easy. If you've got standard spinach that you have to wash, you can use that just as well. You can use any green in this recipe. The spinach tends to be the mildest, so if you're new to green smoothies, I recommend that you use spinach the first couple of times and then gradually move to some of the more intense greens like dandelion greens. So for today, we're just going to put a few dandelion leaves in here, and then we'll put the rest spinach. I've also used kale, parsley, cilantro, arugula is pretty spicy, so just a little bit of that. Collard greens, Swiss chard. There's lots of things that you could use. Okay, so let's turn it on and let's make it happen. It's that quick and easy, and it's incredibly delicious. You can make variations of this. Let's taste it and see. Now you look at the consistency. See, it's a little bit on the thick side. If you tend to like your smoothies thinner, go ahead and put some ice cubes in it or some water in it. Ice cubes will make it more like a standard smoothie, frosty kind of thing. You can also have frozen fruit and add frozen fruit to make it colder. If you want it a lot thinner, you can add water. If you want it thicker, you can actually add some avocado or a little bit of coconut to it. Coconut really makes it much more tropical. The other thing that I like to do is I always like to add a little bit of lemon or lime to my smoothies. Not only does it give it extra vitamin C, but when I'm using the stronger greens like the kale and the dandelion, the citrus, the acid in the citrus tends to neutralize the bitterness. So you can actually blend a whole head of kale with a couple of lemons or limes in the blender, and you don't taste that really strong bitter green flavor. So it's a really nice thing to do. What I used to do a lot was to juice my lemons and limes. But what I'm finding useful now is that, well, why get rid of the fiber on the lemon and lime as well? Why not use the whole thing? Some of them are real easy to peel. This one's giving me a little hard time, so I'm just going to use a knife. But a lot of times, if you roll it like this, it loosens the skin, and you can easily peel it off, similar to the way you would do an orange before you eat it. But I'm just going to add a little lime, because lime adds a nice flavor to it. And pop that in. Turn it on. Listen. It sounds like it's all nice and smooth. And that's it. And so now when I taste it, it's amazing. Now I could go ahead and even add more of the dandelion or kale or some of the stronger greens, because the lemon and the lime in there is going to neutralize that flavor. The other thing I tend to like to add to my smoothies is a little bit of ginger. Ginger is a really, really nice herb to take. It's actually a root, and it's really good anti-inflammatory. So if you've got achy joints, if you've got any kind of medical conditions with an itis at the end of them, ginger is really good to take because it's anti-inflammatory and it helps that. With the Vitamix, I tend to just leave the skin on. I used to take the skin off, but then I realized that the Vitamix just pulverizes it so well. If you don't have a Vitamix and you want to remove it, you could either use a knife or you could use the edge of a spoon and just go ahead and peel the skin off. Works really well. So we're going to drop that in. We're done. Okay. Quick, easy, nutritious, and delicious. Okay, so if you want more information about some of the green cleanses that we do, periodically we do a green cleanse where people get together and drink green smoothies for a week and have incredible health benefits. www.drritamarie.com. Lots of information on there, information on the classes that we do, and ebooks that we have, and big focus on the greens. And I appreciate you being here today, and until next time, thank you very much. To your health.